Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho Renge Kyo, Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, this is Jimmy. Welcome to Sonoran Good Karma Cafe. Hey, listen, recently met up with this real nice young woman. Her name is Raye, and we broke down some quotes by Daisaku Ikeda, who is the founder of the Soka Gakkai International, the organization whose Buddhism I practice. And we just kind of broke down these different quotes and gave our take on it and how it inspired us. And anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it. Take a listen and hope you get something out of it.
Okay, so we'll start with the August 14th daily encouragement. Victory in any endeavor is decided by how effectively and how fully we use our limited time and how hard we work even when our efforts go unnoticed. Daisaku Ikeda. And for me, I really like this one because, oftentimes you'll see that we live in a society where people go out and they present their best version of themselves, but then, they go home and all their masks come off. And I think the real victory is who you are when no one is around and maintaining that good within your heart, your mind, and your soul. And I feel like that's the true victory in life, is to.
But not on the freeway when somebody cuts you off, right?
Even then, like
Really? How could you do that?
I
How
give
could you make?
I'll catch up to them, drive around them, and I'll give them up like, you did a good job. You know what I mean? Like, you
No,
didn't kill.
I'm just being facetious, but yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's kind of when nobody's looking, or when you're at your worst, that's really is your best, it's like, as bad as you are, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that you're only as good as you are at your worst in a way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
you were your worst. That is the true you coming out. And kind of how, like, in my personal life, when I'm like going through something really hard, I try to call upon my higher self and reground myself and accept everything for exactly what it is. As if it's beautiful, if it's ugly, it doesn't matter. And just
Right.
sit with, you know,
Kind of accepted that it's all happening for a reason, and it's your higher self brought that situation to you maybe so you could grow. Or
learn,
I
right?
am so agree with that.
And really just dive deep into your own self and your own mind, and where is this coming from, and work with it. And I always like tell myself, like, every time I go through something, my reaction gets a little better and a little better until, like, you're just unfazed by it. And
Yeah.
that's goal.
So yeah, so you reminded me of a couple things. So in Buddhism, there's this saying that goes, don't a wise person is somebody who's not swayed by the eight winds. Okay. So the eight winds are like prosperity and decline, or praise and censure.
Yeah.
And there's a couple more, but you kind of get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So somebody, just like what you're saying, that you're really stable, that you can maintain your course no matter what's going on around you. You've got your set philosophy, and it's so strong, and you're so strong in what you believe, and your connection to your own higher self, that you're good, and you're just going to maintain your good vibration. And I do believe in the law of attraction too, because whatever we're constantly thinking and putting out vibrationally, we're going to attract it.
Right.
So that's one of the things with this practice, is that every morning we chant and we do our gongyo, and it raises our vibration. I don't know exactly how it works, but you definitely feel it. Your mind slows down, your chatter slows down, and you start to get these inspirations. one of the things what you were reading on that quote about, taking action and making good use of your time, there's also the idea that you want to take inspired action, because if you're sort of, we can get in these karmic ruts or these cycles where we're just repeating the same karma over and over, attracting the same bad situations, the same type of people in our lives. And if we're just taking action based on our own sort of lower mind, or our own karma, we're not really going to improve. We're not going to change, and things are not going to really get better. But so the idea is that when we chant and we raise our vibration, we get these inspirations from our Buddha nature, we call it, or you could call it your higher self, then you are able to sort of change, because you're tapping into something that's got a broader perspective than just our physical minds,
Right.
And so yeah, that's a good, I like this conversation we're having.
I enjoy it too. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Daily encouragement, August 15th. Peace is not simply the absence of war. True peace exists when all people on our planet can live with a genuine sense of happiness and joy, free from fear and anxiety caused by the threat of nuclear weapons, hunger, poverty, and discrimination.
So what are you thinking?
I agree. Like, how can you have peace when you're hungry or when you're in fear of literally, like, we have wars going on right now where everyday citizens are in fear for their life, and is this bomb going to hit me next? And I really really believe that it's very hard. Me personally, you have to be a certain kind of person to feel any sense of peace during a time like that. um how authentic is it? You can mask and you can eat it up and cover it up and do what you do, but in your soul, is there really true peace during a time like that? Um, I come from a very hard background where it was very much kind of like a war zone. And I look back on my younger self, and I admire her strength and her ability to laugh and remain creative,
Your
and
mom?
in myself as a child.
Oh, yourself as a child. Okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, good.
I experienced, people waging war on my body. Um,
I'm
a-
sorry.
and so, like, for me, just to keep hope alive, like how I did it, I don't know. But as I look back, it's like I also had a lot of time left alone in nature. And I think that's what really kept me grounded in my personal beliefs, and to be able to maintain some sort of peace within myself was just like, even from a young age, I knew that this isn't my forever. You know what I mean? So I held on to hope, but was there really peace? It's questionable.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I've noticed that a lot of people that go on to have like missions as like healers and people that are really dedicating their lives to helping the world oftentimes have to go through some really hard times, like it sounds like you went through.
Oh, yeah.
As hard as it is, it does sort of, if you can make it through the way that you've made it through, it opens your heart. It makes you much more empathetic and compassionate. And so you're doing what we call in Buddhism, turning poison into medicine. You're
Alchemy.
taking those, yeah, you're taking those experiences and you making yourself a beautiful, compassionate person.
Yeah, I look back on the paths that I had to choose, and it's like I could have very easily been like, yeah, I want to be a supervillain. Like, this is what life has given to me. But, me and all of my past lives, I feel like we've all been collectively working and growing towards, because I chose this life, right? I
I 100% agree. Yeah.
picked life, and I feel like I did because who would listen to someone who's lived a perfect life? And so year after year and experience after experience, I just kind of ate it and transmuted it into something more positive to help the greater good.
Yeah. So you've tapped on another one of our, you're like a ready-made Buddhist, all these concepts that you've already got. So it's a concept we call choosing our own karma, you know?
Yeah,
So, and I really believe it that, we have a plan for our soul when we come into this existence, this physical reality. And it's for our own self to grow. And then some of us, I think of our older souls, which I think you are, where you come into this existence to be kind of like a light worker, to help other people, and bring light and joy and all that good stuff. So now
I try.
another thing that I kind of got out of that quote was that, you know, like there's a Nichiren Daishonin who was whose Buddhism we really study. He was a Buddhist reformer. He was a monk back in the 13th century, who kind of reformed the Buddhist teachings and pointed out that it had gone corrupt in a lot of schools. Just like everything seems to go corrupt, when there's people involved. And so he was, talking about our true peace. How did he put it? Something along the lines of our only true peace is through like hardship in a way, like
Mhm.
be, because it sounds kind of weird, and I hope I can explain this in a way, but it's like our true security comes not from what's going on the outside. It's our ability to what you're saying, to transmute it, to turn poison into medicine. And so there's a lot of things in Buddhism that says, like it's always darkest before the dawn kind of philosophy.
Right.
And so we always have that kind of frame of mind, and we're always trying to turn poison into medicine. It's one of the most basic themes of our Buddhism.
Right.
We're always whatever happens during our day that evening when we're like chanting to turn whatever bad situation at work we had, or whatever we're going through, we're using it to grow, and to improve our inner selves, to make ourselves really strong, so that whatever we're going through now will just seem like a piece of cake the next time it comes around.
Right. Exactly.
So it's more about the security, like he's saying, there's no, just the absence of war doesn't produce like peace of mind,
Right.
because you've always got, that's life. It's always, something's always looming, something can always go haywire. And it's your security comes from your ability to like have confidence that no matter what comes along, I'm going to be okay. As I've got my Buddhist practice, you've got your philosophy of, whatever you've done worked, because, like what you went through, it's kind of like people can take one or two paths. You can either like go towards the dark or towards the light. But like a lot of people that are criminals and stuff, they've come from really abusive backgrounds and they just kept right on with it. And
Yeah, and just to like kind of speak on that a little bit, it's just because people who come from tough backgrounds sometimes feel like they have no way out, or they were never shown another way, or people will often tell them like, hey, yeah, go do this, but like there's no real guidance in navigating that and
right.
going everything your mind and body has been trained and conditioned to do and be, and then
Yeah.
behavior mix, you know what I mean, is a
Mhm.
thing.
It's like if we're really fortunate. Like I was very fortunate to find this practice, and maybe you must have had a teacher or some guidance along the way. Is that what you're saying? Or
Um, I think that everything around me teaches me, but I spent a lot of time in my life observing, analyzing, having conversations with people, um, and oftentimes nature.
yeah,
And yeah, nature has been really the biggest gift to me. I was very fortunate and unfortunate in my childhood. Everything that happened was what it was, but I got a lot of one-on-one time with nature and learning and connecting and doing my rain dances and
wow, that's amazing. You know, if you get into studying the Daisaku Ikeda, he is really talks a lot about how nature can be a teacher for us, and he's really into protecting the environment. And he had, like, every year he would do a peace proposal that he would submit to the United Nations, and he year after year he would have and it would always include something to do with protecting the environment.
right.
So, because the oneness, so there's another concept called the oneness of the person and their environment, and, you know, our environment, like look at the environment today with oil spills and air pollution and the ozone supply. It's all a reflection of our society. So the
Yeah,
more we change our society and one individual at a time, of course, it can't just boom happen all at once, but then it will be reflected in our environment. And it goes for the individual too. Like you can tell what's going on with the person inside by their environment.
right. Yeah, when the world stopped during the beginning of COVID, you could see it was like night and day, just a couple days of there being no one traveling in LA. You could actually see the mountains and not a smog filled sky. And it was really beautiful to experience, Earth kind of healing itself and regenerating.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we covered that one pretty good.
Yeah. All right. We ready?
Sure.
Okay, great. Daily encouragement, August 16th. When those in the most adverse circumstances rise up courageously and struggle dynamically to achieve a victory, they can impart hope, courage, and confidence to all. When one is fighting against difficulties, it means one bears such an important mission. And I think that this one kind of ties into everything that we've already kind of been talking about with, you know, the life path that you've been given and
Mhm.
the that you go through and kind of transmuting that into, a message of hope for other people and at times when accepted, a message of guidance. Um, in my personal life, I probably will say that a lot in my personal life because I don't like to speak
Oh,
for others.
yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Um,
Speak of what you've experienced.
yeah, I learned from a very young age that my suffering was for the benefit of others. Um, I want to say around the age of 13, it was a year after my father was murdered. I had made friends with this girl, and we had been friends for some time. But ultimately, she ended up losing her mother, and um, I was there for her. I was there to understand her and make her feel seen and heard and empathize and really nurture the part of her that needed nurturing to just kind of help her carry herself through. You know what I mean? Because I can't carry you through it all, but I can help you and hold your hand through your journey. Um,
Yeah, yeah. They always, and one of the Buddha's saying is that when you light a light for somebody else, you're also illuminating your own path.
right. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And then, it's also, it's like, do you want to be a leader in life, or do you want to be a follower,
Right.
And then, but then in Buddhism, there's like, we talk a lot about the concept of mentor and disciple in our Buddhism. And because it is kind of it is something that can give you a lot of strength and power. But you can't be just a mentor, and you can't be just a disciple. It's kind of like my opinion is that we're always both, and
Right.
you can't be a good mentor if you're not a good disciple. you know you've got to like be able to like learn and pass it on. So yeah, can you read
Even,
the quote one more time? I want to hear it one more time.
oh, okay, yes. When those in the most adverse circumstances rise up courageously and struggle dynamically to achieve a victory, they can impart hope, courage, and confidence to all. When one is fighting against difficulties, it means one bears such an important mission.
Yeah, you're right. That is exactly what we've been talking about in reference to your what you've gone through. So yeah, and you recognize that, you do have that mission. It reminds me a lot. I His name has slipped my mind, but who is he's a black film producer. He, what is his name? If I would have been planning on bringing this up, I would have looked it up. Who did you just say?
For modern,
Yeah, he started out with these plays that he took all around the country, and he would dress up as a black woman.
are you
And
talking, what's his name? Tyler Perry, maybe?
Tyler Perry, yeah.
Yeah.
So he had a really rough background. His father used to beat him almost like to death, you know.
Mhm.
And he attributes, like, he used to like to escape that trauma. He would like basically he created this other world that he would go to when he was getting beaten.
Yep.
And he just created it like it was almost like another reality. And he
Yep.
would just go there. And I was watching this show about him, and he said, and because I was able to do that and create like in such a way, he goes, I can write like 20 scripts in 2 weeks. He
Yeah.
just like, and so it's like, is, it's hard to like say like something like that, you should even praise it or like, but you can turn that kind of poison into medicine, like really powerful medicine,
Right.
because he's like become the most successful producer of all time, basically, from what I understand.
Oh, yes, he is very well known, especially within the Black community. We love him.
Yeah.
We love, and I did know about his background, and it was very inspirational to me because I was kind of the same way as a kid. Um, in my mind, I was Xena the Princess Warrior and Laura Croft
Mm,
in one,
yeah.
and so
Wow. Wow.
you reality, and it helps you get through and on to the next phase. But it's very important too to go and heal those wounds and really process them
Mhm.
and analyze them because it's possible to get lost in a reality and lose touch with yourself. And so I think Tyler Perry did a really great job of finding that balance.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Okay. I think we should move on to the next quote.
Okay, here we go. Daily encouragement, August 17th. Sincerity is the key to transforming distrust into trust, hostility into understanding, and friendship. Oh, starting over.
Oh,
I
that's good. All right.
okay. Daily encouragement, August 17th. Sincerity is the key to transforming distrust into trust, hostility into understanding, and hatred into compassion. Friendship and trust cannot be cultivated strategically. Daisaku Ikeda. Yeah, that one's, what do you think of that one?
Well, so the thing that struck me about that is that you can't really have a strong foundation. By the way, just is telling me we got 10 minutes left in our session here. So 10-minute warning. But basically it says to me that you can't really have anything, a strong foundation in any kind of relationship if it's not built on sincerity, you know? Otherwise, oh, by the way, your mic kind of is going in and out a little bit, but
Better?
yeah, every once
Okay.
in a while, it's been almost 99%, but every once in a while it goes out, but that's all right. Doesn't matter. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you don't really trust your friend or your boss or whatever endeavor you're involved in, if you don't really have trust, to me, I can't give it my 100%. I'm not going to be looking at it in any kind of long-term situation, maybe as a quick stepping stone to get from one thing to another or something, but you can't really build anything of really lasting value unless you're sincere and the people around you are sincere. And sometimes you got to be real. Sometimes you know, like good friends, you can get in their face sometimes because you feel like you got to, you know, but it
Yeah,
doesn't destroy the friendship. It oftentimes, as long as your heart's in the right place, it leads to making it a stronger friendship. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. That's why I have one friend. It's because I can't keep my mouth shut. When I see someone going down a path that is destructive or going to ultimately lead them to harm of some sort, I speak up in a very compassionate, loving, sincere way. And in today's society, that is often met with rejection because people, they don't want to face themselves. You know, we live in a world full of, you know, hiding behind screens. I can just turn on the TV and live a fantasy, and that's good enough for me. And I don't prefer to live that way. And when I notice people aren't living in their true, sincere self, um, it's like they get bored. Everything is a game, you know, and what happens when that game is over? You know, you're gone. There's no true connection there. And I feel like a true connection is what helps people to become their best version of themselves. Yeah, we live in a world where people only want the praise and they don't want the real truth. And it's a hard world to navigate, but there are people out here like yourself and myself who are here to take the mask off, you know, remove the blinders, like take a look around at what's really happening, you know?
Yeah. And we have to, you know, be true to ourselves. You know, you have to be willing to let people see the real you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Let's see. So which one are we on now?
August 18th.
18th? Oh,
Yes. Are you ready?
yeah.
August 18th. Dialogue is a life-to-life exchange that can open another's heart and mind. It is the music of life's inner realm that creates a resonance of conscience. What do you think about that?
Well, let's see. So I had made a little note to myself. So I put having a dialogue at the right time with the right person can literally change your life. And I'll give you an example. So after I split up with my wife, I I couldn't seem to make money to save my life. I was really struggling. I was I went from living in like a 4-bedroom house with 2 cars and all that to like working this telemarketing job and just like maybe making like $100 a week or something like that, just like crazy. And I was living in this really dangerous neighborhood in Houston. It was called the Gulfton Ghetto. And I was living with a really nice family. It was like these 2 couples from El Salvador. And I had this like little spot, and it was just like, it was just incredibly depressing. But I mean, I was like, I was on my bicycle, my car was broken down, and I was just really desperate. And I can't say I was thinking about suicide, but I've kind of like, it flitted across my mind, you know? And I called up this longtime member that had encouraged me before, a fellow Buddhist. And this guy just poured his life into encouraging me, you know. And a lot of the things that I tell people and I'm conveying to you, a lot of it came from him, you know, got me started down that path. And it's just amazing what dialogue can do, how powerful it can be, you know, when if you didn't have it, you could just go down the tubes, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think that's it's very beautiful. And in my own experience, I've had conversations with people that have opened my eyes and helped awaken me even more. And I've also been on the other end of that, where I pour myself into someone and I share my passion for wanting people to understand and continue to love themselves throughout their journey, and realizing that it's not the end of the road, and that it's okay to pause and be in that moment and experience all of the emotions that you need to, so you're not holding it in, but get back up, your head held high, and find your way. I've had people come back to me years later and just be like, I really appreciate what you said, and it stuck with me. And
Mhm.
it's, wow, like, you kind of realize just how much of an impact, one conversation could have on
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
entire life.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I still remember conversations that I had, you know, people encouraged me when I was in junior high school, you know. That's
Yeah, yeah.
been a couple years ago.
I remember, probably not the best example, but there's light and dark in everyone on this planet.
Oh yeah.
A girl who, in high school, she was bullying, students who were not able to stand up for themselves. We'll
Right.
just put it that way.
Okay.
And I let her have it for like an entire year. All of my anger and frustration that I had bottled up from, my life went out to this girl. And so after high school, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, even though what you did was wrong, what I did was wrong as well. And I want to apologize for the literal hell that I put you through. Because, she was perfect life, cheerleader girl. And I just couldn't sit back and watch life unfold that way for these poor kids. And she ended up telling me, thank you for what you did, because had you not been that way to me, I would have never realized the type of person that I was and how wrong it was. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, like sometimes compassion can, you know, you got to be kind of strict, you know?
yeah,
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Um,
great
I think
stuff.
we have one more, right?
We actually have two,
2 more. Okay.
and August 20th. Um, we'll jump into reading it.
So we
Okay,
got less than 1 minute, so we may not get through this one. So, but
okay.
that's okay.
August 19th. Thank you is the essence of nonviolence. It contains respect for the other person, humility, and a profound affirmation of life. Daisaku Ikeda.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, what do you think about that one?
Okay, so full disclosure, the conversation got cut off very abruptly there because I had forgotten to watch the time and my Zoom call ended on its own. So, anyway, I really hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you like the content, subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe and join the family. But yeah, so thanks again for stopping by the Sonoran Good Karma Cafe. Take care. Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo Renge Kyo, Namyo